and welcome to another video. This is the first monthly wrap-up of 2024. I can't believe we're already a whole month into 2024. That is insane. January felt so weird. Like, I felt like I didn't really read much, and like, I guess I really didn't. Like, I don't know, it just felt so weird. I only finished 2 physical books in January. It was just kind of a weird month with like work, and I don't know, I just didn't really get much reading done. I'm like 100 pages away from finishing my next physical read, which is sort of close, not really. And I read 2 ebooks and I guess 4 audiobooks, four and a half. I'll talk about it when I get there. It's not really a half, but it's like, you know, whatever. I'll just start talking about the books I read. I'll go ahead and get the physical books out of the way since there's only 2 of them. I wanted to start my year off strong. So the first physical book I read was Good Bad Girl by Alice Feeney. The first physical book I read in 2023 was Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney. So that's why I really wanted to start my year off with another book by her. And so this is her new release. When did I mess up the corner of my book? I don't remember doing that. Anyway, this was her new release in 2023. How do I describe this book? So basically the prologue of this book, what I'm saying is like in the description of the book, so it's like not spoilers. But the prologue of this book is this woman is at this like grocery store and she turns her back from the stroller for like a couple minutes, and when she looks back, the baby is gone from the stroller. And then the book starts 20 years later, and there's 4 points of view, I think, 4 different women, and there's like an old woman in a nursing home, and there's like a younger woman that works in the nursing home who's friends with her, the old woman's daughter who like forced her into the nursing home, and there's like another person too, and there's a murder at the nursing home. And basically the book is just like a mystery of like how all of this stuff, how all these women fit together, how the murder plays into it, how it relates to the baby being taken 20 years ago. And this book was a little odd. I enjoyed it. I did. It was a nice mystery, but it was not a thriller. I gave this book 4 stars because I did really enjoy it and I found it really interesting, but it's not a thriller. It honestly kind of feels like literary fiction in a way, because while there is like a strong plot of mystery, the like plot of motherhood and what that means to people and how it connects people is like such a strong plot in this book. It is a mystery because there's a mystery that you're trying to figure out, but it's just like, I don't know, it was a bit odd. I feel like this is different than her other books. And not necessarily in a bad way. It just wasn't what I was expecting from her. And like I said, I really enjoyed it. It just wasn't a thriller. So go into it with an open mind. And I only guessed a little bit of it. It's Alice Feeney. You never guess everything. But part of it, like I figured out, but part of it I was like, oh, didn't see that coming. So classic Alice Feeney there. She, you know, hits you out of nowhere with a plot twist. The only other physical book I finished this month was Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. This is the sequel to Divine Rivals. It's just a duology, so it is completed now. I'm not going to talk about what this book is about since it is a sequel, but I will tell you what Divine Rivals is about. And basically, it's fantasy, but like it doesn't necessarily, the first one doesn't really feel like fantasy. It feels more like historical fiction with like a fantasy element. So basically it follows 2 characters. There's 2 points of view. There's Iris Winnow and Roman Kit, and they are rivals at a paper. This is set in like 1920 or something, you know, like typewriters. There was cars, but there was also typewriters. So that's the time period. So basically they're rivals at work and they're both like competing for the same job. And then there is a war happening in their city, and there are gods. There's 2 gods that are at war, and people are joining the war efforts to fight for like either god on either side. So Iris's brother Forrest joins the war effort, and she hasn't heard from him in a few weeks, I think months. And so she writes him letters on her typewriter, and then she puts them under her wardrobe door, and they disappear. So she's hoping that her brother's getting them. But Roman is actually getting them. And he doesn't respond at first, but he eventually responds, but doesn't tell her it's him, even though he knows it's her. And they start writing back and forth, and it's so cute to watch them fall in love from both of their points of view. So that's what Divine Rivals is about, and this is a sequel. Like I said, Divine Rivals doesn't feel super magical because like there's gods that are at war, which is like not normal. And then there's like these typewriters that are magical, but that's like it. There's not really any other kind of magic in their world. And so the first one doesn't feel that fantasy. This one is stronger on that, like the war is a heavier plot in this one. And so the gods are a stronger plot line in this one. So this one does feel a bit more heavy on the fantasy side and just like, you know, like all that entails with gods, like different realms and like whatever, you know. I feel like this one was a bit slow to get into. And I've seen other people say that about it, so I don't think it's just me. It's not like I didn't enjoy it when I was reading it in the beginning, but like I just had a hard time. Like, it's like I'd enjoy it, but it's not like I wanted to just like sit down and devour it. And I really love Roman and I really love Iris. And so like I wanted to keep reading it, but it was just, I feel like the story wasn't slow. It was just slow to get through, if that makes any sense. But it definitely did pick up and I was like pretty sure I cried a little bit reading this book. I really, really like this one, but I can't tell how much of it is I really like the book and how much of it is I'm just was invested into the characters already. And so I think I'm giving this book 4 stars. I gave Divine Rivals 4.5. I think I'm giving this 4 stars because it was a bit slower to get through than Divine Rivals, but I enjoyed seeing the characters again and I feel like it had a nice ending. Like I like the where it went. And I don't know, despite it being like kind of slow, like I could not stop thinking about this book. Like when I wasn't reading it, I was just thinking about Roman and Iris and I just wanted to get back to the book so badly. So there's that. I don't know. I really, really like these 2 books and I highly recommend you read them because they're very, very sweet. So now I'm going to talk about the ebooks that I read because I read like 2 books like in a series and that is Shatter Me. I finally started Shatter Me. After hearing so many people rave about the series, I was like, you know what? I will put a hold on it from the library because those books are all like weeks long holds. And I finally got it in and I read the first book. So if you don't know what Shatter Me is about, it's about this girl named Juliet and she has this ability. So if she touches you or you touch her, if you are in contact with her body, you're in like extreme pain to the point where you could die. And so Shatter Me starts with her like locked away in like asylum because like everyone has deemed her dangerous. And so she has been locked in this room for a year without talking or seeing another human being, just by herself with nothing to do. And so she is a little crazy, just a little. But I mean, it makes sense being locked away by yourself for a year, thinking you're a monster because everyone treats you like a monster. She is a bit unhinged. And so the book starts and you kind of see into her mind. And then this guy is introduced, Adam. She gets like a cellmate. And so you get to know him and like her backstory and like all this stuff happens. So after she like leaves the asylum, this group has her and their plan is to use her as a weapon. And yeah. So I feel like this book was like kind of slow in the beginning and I was like sort of interested. Like I was like, I could keep reading this. I'm not like bored, but I'm also not like dying to read it. But I don't know, it like did eventually catch my interest. I don't think it's that great of a book. I feel like it's pretty mid, but I was interested enough that I do want to continue the series. So I did read the novella that comes after it, which is called Destroy Me. And so the love interest in Shatter Me is Adam, but the guy who's like in charge of her and how she's gonna like be a weapon, his name's Warner, and I'm sure you've heard his name before because I've heard his name before and I just didn't know who he was in the book. So I'm really wondering where their plot's going because of the way I've heard him talked about. But anyway, the novella is from his point of view and it like picks up where the Shatter Me left off, but in his point of view. And so you get to like know him and his backstory and why he's the way he is and why he treats her the way he does. And I don't know, it was like nice to learn more about him and it like humanized him. But I just don't, like, from what I saw of him in Shatter Me, I started to Destroy Me, and I didn't want him to be humanized. Like, I did not want to understand him. I did not want to feel for him. And the book, like, does that. So, I don't know. I definitely understand him a bit more. I'm still curious about his fascination with her, because he's, like, so fascinated with Juliet. And I don't know. That novella was also mid. I can't decide between a 3 and a 3.5 for these two. But I mean, I am going to continue the series. I did put my hold in for book 2. I'm interested. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested what has people in a chokehold over the series. So I am going to continue it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It like did keep my attention. I have definitely read worse dystopian books from this era. So now on to the audiobooks I read this month. 2 of them were in a series. I read What If It's Us and the sequel Here's to Us. And so basically, What If It's Us is a teenage rom-com coming of age book, because that's like all I listen to. And it follows 2 characters, Arthur and Ben, and you get both their points of view. It takes place over summer, and Arthur is in New York City because his mom is like an attorney and there's like an office there, and so she's doing work there over the summer. So the whole family, like the parents and Arthur, went to New York for the summer, and he's interning with his mom. And so he's walking down the street one day and he sees this guy, and he's just so like mesmerized by him that he follows him into the post office. And that's Ben. And Ben is like at the post office trying to ship back his ex's belongings. And they have a little meet cute, but they don't like get each other's names or their phone numbers or anything. And then they get like separated and they have to find each other. And Bailey, what are you doing? Hi. Do you want to sit on this side? And so yeah, they have to like find each other, and it's like pretty cute, but it's also like a short wind romance because they only have like a few weeks together. So it's like a little insta-lovey, I guess, but I don't know. I really love this author's writing. This is by the author that wrote They Both Die at the End and the author that wrote Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. And so I read both of those books and I did like both of them. Dude, I don't know what you want. Do you want to come back up now? So that's what made me want to read this book, especially the author that writes like They Both Die at the End. I really, really love his writing and the way he writes characters and their chemistry between them. And so that was the selling point for me. And I did like these characters. I thought they were really cute together, but Arthur was so cringy. The secondhand embarrassment I got from his points of view, or not even just like both his points of view, but also him from Ben's point of view, like I almost could not listen. The secondhand embarrassment was so bad. But he was cute, like he was adorable, but he was just like so cringy. But yeah, I thought this book was really cute, and it definitely made me tear up a lot. I always tear up a little bit reading teenage rom-com coming of age books. And the 3rd act breakup of this one was like really annoying, but also they're like teenagers, so like what are you gonna do? So not to like give away the ending, but basically from the get-go, you know that like Arthur has to leave the city at the end of the summer. Like he lives in some other state. I don't remember what state. That's where he's from. So like they know they have a limited time together. And so the sequel picks up 2 years later. It's called Here's to Us. And they're not together, and they both are seeing other people, and Arthur ends up in New York City, and him and Ben get reunited. So that's the plot of the 2nd book. And going into it, I was very hesitant because I don't like cheating. And for anyone who doesn't like cheating, there is no blatant cheating in this book. However, I still got a little bit of ick from it. So there's that. But it's not like I like the 2nd book better than the 1st one, but I did really enjoy Ben and Arthur as people, and I enjoyed learning more about them and getting to see more of them and getting to see them a little bit older because it has been 2 years, and so they like kind of grew a bit. And I just, like I said, I really like the way this guy writes characters. And so I did really enjoy them. So I like seeing more of them. And I like actually think I actually cried near the end of this one because I was like really attached to the characters, because it's not just them. They also have like friends that they introduce to each other. So like those characters, their storylines were getting to me too. So yeah, cute. Not like the best, but like really cute, and I enjoyed them. So because I enjoyed those 2 so much, I was like, okay, well, I need to go into another YA rom-com coming of age book. And so I was like, let me see what else the other author has written, because right now I cannot tell you the names. I know them, I don't remember. Her name's Becky something. And so I found a book that says it's the sequel to Simon versus the Homo sapien agenda. It's called the Simon verse, I think. So this is book number 2. It's called The Upside of Unrequited, and I do not know why it's called the sequel, because to my knowledge, none of the characters are the same. I think it's in the same town. Like, I literally don't know how this is a sequel, other than it's also about queer teenagers. Like, that's all I'm getting. That's all the connection I can make in my brain. But anyway, so The Upside of Unrequited, it's about this girl, and I don't know how to describe this book. Most of the audiobooks I listen to, I pick based off the cover or the author, and I don't actually know what the book is going into it, and so I don't always know how to talk about it. So basically this book is about, like, the main character, her name's Molly, and she has a twin sister, Cassie, and they're best friends, but they're also really different. And so Cassie is, like, very into, like, she doesn't date, she just, like, hooks up with girls. Like, she's very, like, not, like, she doesn't, like, fall in love. She just has a good time. And Molly's never dated anyone. She's had a lot of crushes, but she's never, like, pursued those crushes because she's, like, scared of rejection. And then, like, her sister, like, Cassie, meets a girl and she's, like, in love with her. And then, like, Molly feels, like, very lonely. And so there's, like, that girl has a best friend that she's, like, trying to date, because then she thinks that, like, her and her sister will, like, stay best friends if they're, like, dating best friends. But then she has this coworker that she, like, has a crush on because he's, like, kind of, like, awkward and weird and she likes him. So that's the plot of this book. And then, like, Molly is like a plus size teenager, so it's supposed to be like that's relevant. The description on Goodreads is literally like, Molly can't stomach the idea of rejection, so she's careful. Fat girls always have to be careful. Okay. But yeah, so there's that. And also they have moms, like their moms are lesbians, doesn't matter. Anyway, this book takes place when the, like, gay marriage was legalized, so their moms get to get married, and that was, like, so emotional to, like, listen to their moms find out they can get married and then planning the wedding, and, like, the wedding, like, it was, like, so emotional. So that was also a cool aspect of this book. And yeah, like I said, I have no idea how this connects to the other book. I really liked Molly. I felt like I could relate to her a lot. Like, my teenage self, I felt like I could relate to her a lot, and I really loved her family and her home life. I loved her relationship with her sister and the relationship she had with her moms. And they also had a little brother that was like a toddler or a baby or something. Their whole home life was like really, really sweet, and I really loved moments when they were at home. I like really liked this book at first. I thought it was like very, very sweet and I really liked it, but then by the end it kind of just felt like any other rom-com coming of age book. But it did make me want to read more books like that. I'm definitely in the mood for more books like that. So the book has that going for it. I was gonna start the 3rd book in that series today, actually, but then one of my holds from the book came in, so I started that one instead. So I'll get to this one like next week probably. Yeah. So the last audiobook I listened to was the 3rd Enola Holmes book, which is called The Case of the Bizarre Bouquets. So yeah, this is the 3rd one. They like sort of build on each other, but like not like a lot. But basically Enola Holmes is Sherlock Holmes' little sister, and she's like significantly younger than Sherlock and Mycroft. And so she was like kind of raised as an only child, and her mom raised her like kind of wild, you know? And then her mom went missing. And so her brother was like, okay, Enola, you're getting shipped off to boarding school. And she was like, no. And so she runs away, and she's living in London in secret, hiding from her brothers, taking on different personas. And while she has these different personas, she's solving cases because she's Sherlock Holmes' little sister. Bailey, I know you want dinner, but you gotta wait a few more minutes, okay? Yeah, this one in particular, the plot is that John Watson has gone missing, and so she's doing her own investigation aside from what Sherlock's doing. I don't really have separate opinions for each of these books, and not like in a bad way. Like, I don't think they're all the same. Like, they're each unique individual stories, but like I just kind of feel the same about them. Like, I enjoy them. Like, they're interesting. I'm curious to see what the reveal is at the end, and they're cute. I really like Enola. I think she's a very like smart young girl. She's like 14. Every book I'm just like looking forward to like seeing how she grows and seeing how she keeps evading her brothers. But that's about it. The book I like sort of read is The Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare. This is the first collection of short stories that she released back in like 2014 or something. Like, it was a long time ago. Yeah, 2014. It follows the warlock Magnus Bane that is featured in like all the books, and he's one of my favorite characters. So I really enjoyed this book when it came out, and I actually have not read it since it came out. I think I read it in 2015. And so I decided to reread it via audiobook because I've been working through rereading all of her books like on and off the last couple of years. And I really enjoy her books by audiobook, but for some reason, this one just like wasn't really doing it for me. Like, I don't think it's the book because I liked the book when I read it the first time and I love Magnus Bane, but I just like wasn't feeling it as an audiobook. But also I listen to books through Libby. So it's like my local library. They have the book on Libby as the individual short stories, and they don't have all of them. There are 10 short stories total in that collection, but Libby only has 6 of them. So I listened to the 6 that Libby has, which ranged from like 1 to 2 hours each story. And then they don't have the rest of them, and they don't, like, I could like get down my physical book and read it, but I probably will do that eventually, but probably not anytime soon. So like, I sort of read that book. Like, I read as much as I could, but I didn't finish listening to it. So I sort of read that. I don't know what you want to call that. Yeah, that's another one I listened to. That is all the books that I read in January. The physical book that I started reading that I haven't finished yet is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That is my book club's book for January, and I'm just like behind. I've been like tired and busy, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. So hopefully I'll finish that this weekend. So that'll be part of my February wrap up. But I have decided to do my wrap up videos a little bit differently because I was doing like what I read that month, what I bought that month, and any other bookish thoughts. And I think I'm gonna save the books I bought for the month to do like quarterly book hauls. And I just like, I don't really have any bookish thoughts this month, but I did want to show off my new bookshelf I have on my wall because it's really, really cute. So here's my reading chair, and actually I can put my books that I read this month on my bookshelf because that's what this bookshelf is for. I'm gonna fill it up every time I read books this year. But I have my reading chair, I have my book cart, I have my new shelf I'm gonna fill up, and then above it I have a new shelf, and I put my pretty copies of Once Upon a Broken Heart on top. Isn't it so cute? It's gonna look even better once my lights are turned on, but I don't feel like turning those on right now. I just love these books so much, and I'm so happy they will place them on right now. So normal bookcase, and then you go across my window, and there it is. So yeah, that was my monthly wrap up. I feel like I was a bit all over the place, and that's probably because it's like nighttime and I'm tired. And I worked all day, so I don't know where my mind is, but we're at the end of the video now. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the books I'm reading in February. I have my TBR video coming out soon, so you get to watch how I picked the books I'm gonna read in February, and I will have a reading vlog to go with those books, you know, by the end of the month. So look out for that. Maybe you can watch some of my other videos too. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.